Hey, welcome back to Jaws on Sports, the best show on the net. I'm Mike. Just got back from the gym, still sweating, still burning calories, still breaking records that the East Germans tried to way back in the 80s. That's me. How's it going, Zach?
Doing all right.
I like it. That's
Yeah.
freaking beautiful. Thank you. So, we're going to dive right into things tonight. This is our no frills show on the UFC greatest of all time. And I do want to mention something here. We're calling it UFC greatest of all time because we don't care nothing about guys who were not in the UFC. So I know there's people out there that are Fedor fans. Hey, more power to you. He never fought in the UFC. The ex champions he fought in Pride and what other kind of crap organizations were well past their prime. But when he did fight good fighters, he got his ass kicked. So, um, no Fedor. All right.
I agree. Yeah. Who cares?
Yeah, who cares? All right. So let's push on. So, what do you want to start with, Zach? This isn't, this is, first off, this is going to be all time, not just weight class, right?
Yeah, I think we might have to break it off a little bit because there's so many different things you have to look at talking about stuff like this. So, um, yeah, we can just do that though. Kind of just like doesn't matter what weight class you say, who you think is the best and why. So,
Okay. Yeah. If we need to revisit this down the road, to fill some more time before football starts, and we can do that. But why don't you kick it off? What you got?
I'm looking at this. I have actually thought about this a little bit before we got on here. Which normally I
Thinking,
don't.
yeah.
I don't prepare for our shows at all. I show up, put the headphones on, let you do everything. So I was thinking I'm living in a world where there's no drug issues or whatever, uh, with suspensions and all that, popping for steroids. Get rid of all that, just based off of what happens in the cage, regardless if they were roided up or not. Um,
Yeah, who cares about that
just
crap?
it's more exciting that way.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let's see how good of a fighter you can really be. So, with all that, I start with Bones Jones, number one.
Number one.
Um,
Huh?
yeah, number one.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, never lost the fight. The only fight he technically lost, he beat the crap out of the guy, and it got stopped because of illegal elbows.
Mark
Um,
Hamill. I remember watching that one way back 1,000 years ago.
Say anything you want about his outside the cage antics. He's not a smart guy necessarily. Um, Done some stupid stuff, but when he gets in there, he beats people up bad.
Yeah.
And even I was talking about steroids and all that. He hasn't lost a fight since all the USADA stuff, that era of
Mm-hmm.
the UFC started. So I think that's impressive as well. We saw a lot of guys fall off after USADA, like Johnny Hendricks,
Mm-hmm.
um, Vitor Belfort, guys like that. They just weren't any good because they didn't have steroids. So
Exactly. Yeah.
John still hasn't lost a fight. So I'd put him at number one for sure. This one's more of number two is more of a guy I fell in love with, not in that way. That's kind of weird, but as a fighter, growing up, Anderson Silva
Mm-hmm.
just made magic in the octagon. He's just a fun guy to watch. Every once in a while, I'll go watch old fight of his and just sit there. And he really was one of the reasons I enjoyed watching it when I was younger. We used to watch Ultimate Fighter and um, try to watch the fights on your computer on some crappy stream and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
it
I
was
don't think
always,
those hacker streams like that don't exist anymore. They were pretty bad back in the day. Good lord.
but I've always loved the long rangey kickboxing dudes. that knock people out. Yeah, big
Mm.
Izzy fan as well. So,
He was the
um,
best precision striker I've ever seen.
oh, I think I'd agree with that. I mean, you
Yeah.
saw him literally pick dudes apart and put them away
Mm.
in a dominating, devastating way. Just so fun to watch. You know, end of the career. A lot of the guys that fight, they don't know when to hang it up. Um, but his run, he won his title defenses. I can't remember how many in a row he had or whatever, but he was so dominant and he just beat everyone up. Um, so I think I'd go with him at 2. Um, I think I'll let you do your first and second one as well.
Okay.
I'm talking too much. So.
No, it's fine. And, just for the record, when it comes to preparation, I've been trying to work on my production value a little bit. And I was hoping that would be a little bit better today. As it is, it didn't happen today. So hopefully next time I'll have my production value up a little bit so this face doesn't look as bad as it does wanting to break the camera. Now, for me, I I tell you, when you're talking about a greatest of all time list, how far do you want to go back in the UFC? I'm not talking about the Gracies. Never did like them. They were ahead of their time. They made 400-pound guys tap out because they were scared. There was one dude named Ron Van Cleef, I think, way back in the day. He's a boxer. You don't know his name, but he had a big ass red boxing glove on when he was in the octagon with Gracie at one of the earliest UFC fights, and he wore that so when he was tapping out, the referee could see it real quick. Yeah, there's some guys, and Jones, obviously he's in the inside the octagon. He's earned all the accolades. He's won. He's a heavyweight champ. I think he's going to totally dominate this next fight. Doesn't matter right now. The best fighter that I ever saw out there in his prime was indeed your number 2, Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva is going to top my list. For a lot of the fans out there who's just started watching the UFC in the last 5 years, you saw the tail end of Anderson Silva, and I mean he's a shell of himself. I don't know why he continues to fight. I guess it's kind of like Tom Brady out there. You just can't give it up. But precision striker, if you want to see one of the more amazing knockouts that you'll ever see in your life, check out his fight against a guy named James Irwin. And I couldn't tell you when this was, 2008 maybe. Silva mostly fought at middleweight. He moved up to light heavyweight. This was his first light heavyweight fight. And Irvin threw a right-sided kick to the abdomen. Silva caught it, straight right hand to the face, planted Irvin, and then straight right hand when Irvin was down. Perfect precision. It's the kind of stuff that would be in textbooks. Okay. There's many more. And in my seriously unqualified opinion, if he hadn't been showboating against Chris Weidman, he would have won that
Beat
fight.
him up.
Probably won a couple more. We'll never know what happened. Obviously, he had he fractured his lower leg in their rematch. But in that run that he had, which was I believe 11 defenses, and before that, Anderson Silva was the best I ever saw. He tops my GOAT list. Now, my number 2, I'm gonna jump over Bones Jones, and I'm gonna toss Jose Aldo in there.
That's a big one.
He had a run unlike anybody else ever, and his only fault was at that time nobody liked watching the smaller guys in the UFC. If he was on that championship run in the UFC today, we would be all over it because it doesn't matter what weight class the guys are in. But in his prime, go ahead. Yeah, what you got?
I really respect what you just said. Normally, I don't say that about anything that comes out of your mouth.
This
That's
is my
a that,
son, ladies and gentlemen, my son, my pride and joy right here.
that's a
Thank you.
great that was a really great pick that a lot of people don't tend to look at when they're talking about the best, but you can't say best without Jose Aldo.
Damn right.
Um, that I'm gonna let you keep talking. I'm just trying to tell you that was a good thing you did for once. So
He's going to let me keep talking for one time. I appreciate that. I've got tears. I've got a single tear rolling down my face here. Um, Now, when it comes to preparation for these shows, yeah, I was talking about my production value, but I give it its due diligence. I usually put about 10 to 12 minutes worth of time into each one of these. And it definitely shows because that level of knowledge is just peak. So I got Anderson Silva, I got Jose Aldo. Number 3 on my list is going to be the one and only Canadians or Montreal's own George St. Pierre. Just an incredible fighter. There are some people that said later in his career he got kind of boring because he was winning all these decisions. Well, he was beating the crap out of his opponent for 25 minutes every time. Um, he retired. He came back. He actually won the middleweight championship to get Michael Bisping and retired again. And twice he went out on top. You could argue that Johnny Hendricks fight back in the about 3-fight range there when Johnny Hendricks was really freaking good, that fight could have gone either way. But George St. Pierre was amazing. And from personal experience, he is the headliner that I have legally bought more pay-per-views from the UFC to watch in my lifetime. So my top 3, I've got Anderson Silva, Jose Aldo, and George St. Pierre.
I'm not even just saying this because you just said it. But GSP is number 3 for me. I just love the guy. You know, he kind of reminds me of who Volkanovski is right now, and I think Volkanovski's a guy I might be talking about in a few minutes here. But just he was so technically sound. He taught himself how to wrestle, became one of the best wrestlers the UFC's ever had. He carried himself, in a high manner.
Yeah.
Just a guy that you love to watch and love to see win. At least I did. Some people probably didn't like him so much, but dude was Canadian and everyone was cheering for him. No one cared about, Canada. It was all Brazil, Russia, United States guys. And
Yeah.
George came in and he dominated for his whole career, beat every fighter he ever fought. His 2 losses, he avenged them.
Yeah.
He's the man. He still is today.
Yeah, I'd like to add something to this. You could argue that George St. Pierre was the UFC's first real kind of megastar. There'd be some people that say that Randy Couture and Chuck Liddell were, and credit where credit's due for those guys. But George St. Pierre just kind of he touched on every fan loved the guy. I don't think that he had any heelish WWE tendencies at all. And he went out there and he was pure professional until it became time for the weigh-in and stare down, and then all bets were off, and then when the fight started you were toast. But yeah, the guy was great, and when he shows up to break stuff down from time to time, it's a real treat to see him out there.
Oh yeah, it's always great to see GSP, whatever he's doing. So,
yeah, absolutely.
So we're gonna keep this rolling with number 4. This one might be a bit of a shock to probably you, but I'm gonna go with Daniel Cormier.
Not a shock at all,
Uh,
man. Not a shock.
DC doesn't get enough love, I think, from community of UFC fans, MMA fans. DC was the man uh, up until his last fights. He was always that guy. Um, Only ever lost to John Jones and Stipe Miocic. You
Mhm.
know, uh, just a world class wrestler that developed really good striking. Had some great fights with Jones, Gustafson. Um, he handled guys too. Like these weren't close fights. Like he's beating dudes up. He destroyed Stipe in fight, beat up on Derek Lewis. Fun fights like that. You look back and watch, and um, I feel like he doesn't get enough credit for what he did because of how his career did, losing to Stipe the 2 times. But people also consider Stipe one of the best ever. So
Yeah.
um, I love Daniel. I hate Oklahoma State. They suck. Uh, Cowboys suck. Hate them. Don't let your babies grow up to be cowboys, right? But I love
Mamas,
Daniel.
don't let you play. Yeah.
I love DC. Glad he's still around. I love hearing his voice on the commentary too.
Oh
So
yeah, he's great. And he shows up in the WWE from time to time, and it's just natural for him. I like to see him out there more. Yeah, DC
yeah,
is definitely on my top 10 list. He's toward the back end of that. I don't know if we'll get to that today, but my number four, I'm going to go with Johnny Bones Jones at number four. And hey, look, any time you're in the a top 10 list that Jaws on Sports has, man, you're definitely worth it. You're a stud at the highest level, whatever that
oh, yeah.
venture is. Uh, but yeah, you say what you want about him on the outside. We already talked about that, but inside the octagon, he's definitely been the best. Um, Came back, put on about 40 pounds, didn't lose anything. I think he's probably going to be heavyweight champ as long as he sticks around.
I agree.
We'll see. I don't think he's going to stick around very long, but that's my number four. I'm going to go ahead and jump into number
Um,
five real quick here, and then I'll toss it back to you. I'm going to go with flyweight Demetrius Johnson.
that's a great dude. You've been on it with Jose and
I am
Mighty
on it,
Mouse.
man. I am freaking on it.
See,
Hell yeah.
people that haven't been watching for a while, they probably don't even know who Mighty Mouse is. But go watch a
Yeah.
YouTube video right now. Mighty Mouse, you talk about technically great like GSP, man, he might be a step above. But I'm gonna let you talk about that.
Yeah, Demetrius Johnson, he's not with the UFC anymore, and I don't even know what organization that is. And you know what? I don't care. But he was traded for a guy named Ben Askren, who last we saw was out hanging out on Bells Beach in Australia, where Patrick Swayze and Keanu Reeves filmed uh, Point Break. The final scene, actually, that is in Hawaii, I think. But yeah, I don't know why they essentially kicked out Demetrius Johnson. He was just incredible. Now he did lose that fight to Henry Cejudo there at the very end,
That one's
but
still yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know. But I think what it came down to was Dana White and company. They didn't think that Demetrius Johnson had the marketing capability to sell, and that is a concern of the little guys. He fights a 125-pound class, and um, say what you want, Demetrius Johnson was absolutely freaking incredible and worthy of the top five on my list.
Yeah,
And
he's the
I am
man.
freaking on it tonight, man.
You are. I'm giving you props for once. You're actually doing good stuff.
Yeah, I usually get a lot of
Um,
haterade on my comments from our viewers, in real time here, but tonight it's coming in solid.
I for my number five, I think I'm gonna split it between 5 and 6, make it kind of a tie. For what I'm thinking, and then I'll probably do one or two more guys after that. But one of these isn't a guy for the 5th spot. They're both Brazilian. I think, I will put it at number 5, Amanda Nunes. If we were making a women's list, it's easy. She's number 1.
She's 1 through
Um,
5, actually.
Probably, yeah. But Amanda Nunes, talk about dominant, man. Oh my. She was the woman. I said the man for a lot of guys. She was the woman. She was the best. Just beat up everyone that they put in front of her. Had a fluke loss, came back and won 50-43 the next fight. I think we all knew that first fight was kind of, she might have had
Thanks.
too much
Hey,
to,
things happen. Happened to George St. Pierre.
yeah.
No, happened to Aldo. I mean, the Conor McGregor 11-second knockout. And Daniel Cormier, a freak liver kick. Or was it as a face kick? Never mind. Bad example. But
John Jones.
yeah, bad example. But hey, one shot anything can happen. Go back and remember Holly Holm kicked Ronda Rousey's head off when we thought Ronda Rousey was the best thing ever. So all it takes is one shot.
Yeah. So I'd say Amanda Nunes, great career. Stacking up with the men, I mean, I'd put her that high, behind a guy like Daniel Cormier or GSP. That's big. So
yeah.
I think I'd put her, and then at 6, the pick you had a little bit earlier, but Jose Aldo. We talked about how great he was. I think some of the best leg kicks in MMA I've ever seen. Did really good ripping the body. Didn't have any boring fights. He was always in it. Yeah, we all love Jose Aldo.
Oh yeah. Back to me. You got another one?
Go for it.
All
Go
right.
for it.
Okay, so now I'm getting more the modern era here. I'm going with Khabib. Just I don't know what else you can say about him. He had one hell of a career. Retired. I don't even think he was 30 years old yet. He might have been 30. If he was barely 30. I would have loved to seen him fight another 4 or 5 times. He just mauled people, like a bear, like that bear that beat the crap out of Leo DiCaprio in The Revenant. I mean, that's what he does. He smothers you. He bursts your face open with elbows and with fists, ground and pound. He taps you out. Just a scary dude. Nobody ever got close to solving him. It might be a little too early in the countdown, but I like I said, I would like to see him fight a few more, but I've got him next to my list. I believe that's number 6. I think so.
I agree. I think I'd put him higher if he didn't walk away when he did.
Yeah.
Because he was, I don't even know if he was in his prime yet, which is sad that he walked away when he did. Outside factors influenced him retiring, but can't say I was a big fan of them, but that doesn't mean I don't respect him and what he did. But I would have loved to watch him fight a couple more times.
Oh yeah, and his legacy is incredible. I mean, we might have guys from his camp hold all the titles in 5 years, and that's not some kind of crazy prediction. That's based in fact. I don't know if he's got any heavyweights yet, but it seems like he's got guys in the weight classes from bantamweight all the way up to light heavyweight who are just high level performers. And you could have multiple champions, UFC champions that had tutelage under Khabib in just a matter of a few years.
Yeah, I mean, great ambassador for the sport. Not to push religion or anything on people, but religious guy was a big part of why I think he was successful. How, what's the word? They're so, I can't think of it, but their attitude is so is so great, and their
Yeah,
discipline. Their discipline
they're
is so
very
amazing.
extraordinarily disciplined. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Um, I'll do two more. Got to get rolling here soon.
Okay.
I'm gonna go with number 7 here, and I think this guy has a chance to be number 1. Uh, I think strike for strike, how he switches stances, his takedowns, his fight IQ, um, how he can respond to really bad adversity. Alex Volkanovski. I'll be honest, I did not like the guy. He beat my guy Max Holloway, who is also, on the short list of the best ever. He beat him 3 times.
Yeah.
Dominated him really bad in the third fight. Volkanovski, man, he is he's so much better in every single thing compared to his opponents. It doesn't matter if you're a wrestler or striker or in between. He is better than you.
Mhm.
Technically, uh, he's more skilled than anybody I think I've ever seen all around. Um, he's a joy to watch. And I was talking to my buddies when he fought a couple weeks ago. I said, I think we're living through right now. We'll look back and say this might have been the greatest fighter we've ever seen.
Yeah, it could
So
definitely happen. He's still still in his prime, early 30s. Um, really no signs of slowing down.
he is just so intelligent and he can switch on the fly. He has a counter to your counter. Uh, just he's always not a step ahead. He's 3 or 4.
Mhm.
So a joy to watch that guy. It's a shame that he had to fight Max and beat him. I love Max, and that's a bias I have. But
Yeah, me too.
he,
Max.
he's
Yeah.
he's such a great fighter. He's a joy to watch. So I'll put him at 7, and then I'll let you round out. But with 8, I'm gonna put Kamaru Usman. Um, he dominated welterweight for a long time until he got caught with the head kick,
Mhm.
which was tough. I'm excited to see him back, but some people thought he was kind of boring, but you're talking about that with GSP. When you get to the top, you're the champ or you're at high level fights with the best in the world, you're not going to be able to get those guys out of there every time.
Yeah.
And then that's where it started getting fun with him because he put away Colby, he put away Masvidal, he put away Gilbert Burns.
Mhm.
He was knocking dudes out. Um, I look back on that time when there was nothing else going on in the world except guys fighting in a empty room, and
Yeah.
Kamaru Usman was putting people out. Um, I really appreciate what he's done. I hope he can bounce back too, but I think I'll end my list at Kamaru Usman.
Yeah. He was the next guy on my list, and just yeah, he was great. He was a pure wrestler for a long time. Developed heavy hands, developed great takedown defense. He knocked it. Just he had some devastating knockouts, and he's worthy at the top 10. Like I said, he was next on my list. I'm going to add one more, and this will close our show out today, except for some final comments. And I'm going to take it back a little bit. I'm going to look at the heavyweights. He's not an old school heavyweight, but he's old school for a lot of people. Cain Velasquez, when he wasn't hurt, okay, was absolutely incredible. And a lot of people didn't see him fight. He made Brock Lesnar look like Max Mini. And for my WWE fans, I know that you're laughing about that one, but if you don't know who Max Mini is, look him up. He had that trilogy fight with Junior Dos Santos, and I remember the first fight they had was I think was the very first show on
Fox.
Fox, yeah, and it
Yeah.
was a flash knockout. JDS caught him, the big right hand. Happens to the best of us. But then they had two more fights, and you will never see a more dominant performance for a 245-pound heavyweight, All-American wrestler going back to Arizona. Just he was incredible out there. He moved like a flyweight. He moved like freaking Demetrius Johnson out there, and he was a pleasure to watch. He was very injury prone, and that curtailed his career. He tried to make a four-way into WWE, but he didn't work. And I know that he's had some major problems outside of the octagon, and we're not talking about that. But I would like to put Cain Velasquez on my list of the heavyweights that I've seen that have had multiple big fights at heavyweights for titles. He is the best one that I've seen. No disrespect to Stipe, guys like Cain Velasquez. He was great.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think we had, our lists, they kind of conflicted a little bit, but I appreciate those guys you threw in there. A lot of people listening probably have no idea who some of them are, but we do, and that's all that matters. It's
That's
our
right.
show.
It's our show. Yeah.
With that, I got to get rolling, but it was good talking to you.
All right. Well, hey, just like and subscribe, Jalzo Sports. It was great to have you on board here tonight where we broke down our UFC GOAT list. And maybe we'll talk more about this down the road a little bit. But I'm Mike, and Zach. We'll see you mañana. All right. Have a good one.